let's talk about the Raider joint practices with the Rams. Mike, have you heard anything about it today, or you didn't really get a chance much to look at it?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance really. They like I mentioned to Grant Cohn, I saw a couple of videos where it's like the media was 5 feet from it, juxtaposed to a Raiders training camp. You're 3 fields away. It's like it's a massive difference.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the biggest takeaway. Well, okay, biggest takeaways: Tyree Wilson, first round pick. He's there. I I think we see him this weekend against the Rams in the preseason. I'm excited. Two, Devontae Adams returned from his injury, and he was perfectly fine out there. I saw a tweet that Hunter Renfrow put somebody in a blender on a route. Max Crosby got in a fight with Cam Akers.
Yeah. What
Which,
a lopsided fight. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I saw one picture from it where it was just Crosby, I'm assuming, taking a swing at Akers, and there's like 4 other Rams players like surrounding him, like trying to grab him. But I don't know the full context. I don't think there was a video, so I can't really say what happened. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I'd say we could probably better cover the joint practices with the Rams next time. I heard the offensive line for the Raiders was bullying the Rams defensive line, which probably doesn't include Aaron Donald. The Rams, they don't seem like a talented team. They're top heavy, like we mentioned about, not even close to the Niners. The Niners have some depth. The Rams have no depth, and the Rams have only the shell of Matt Stafford. They have Cooper Kupp, who's got a hamstring injury right now. Maybe he's back, I forget. And then Aaron Donald. Other than that, I mean, try to name me a player right now. I'll give you Van Jefferson. Give me one.
Well, okay. Well, you don't have to take my answer like that, but how about Bobby Wagner? Did you name him?
He's back on the Seahawks, I think.
Well,
I think. I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right. All right. Hold on. Cam Akers, Matt Stafford. Yeah. You know what?
That's all I could name. I couldn't give you another one. I don't think. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a D line. They let go of Leonard Floyd. They let go of Allen Robinson. So I think it was Leonard Floyd that they had. So they're a completely different team than that Super Bowl winning team. So I don't really, like, I was getting excited about joint practice news with the Niners, but I'm not going to get too thrilled over much from this joint practice session with the Rams, because I really think they are not a good team. And actually, if anything, I worry. They're pros, okay? These are all pros, but I wonder and worry if the Raiders come out of training camp and these joint practices and these preseason games where they just kill these teams, right? Where it's like, oh, they clearly own these teams. It's like they're going to come out week 1, big swinging dick, and then they just get curb stomped by the Broncos. Like, I just hope that doesn't happen.
I don't know. I've heard the Broncos have still been struggling even with Sean Payton. So,
yeah, my bigger thing isn't necessarily the Broncos. It's more of there's something about this Raiders team that just they feel different, And again, I don't want to come out of this too confident or nothing. I don't want them to, but it feels like they're better coached. They're more disciplined, and their defenders are making plays on the football, which is something that Raider fans can agree has not been happening for the past 20 years, since the time that they went to the Super Bowl, or since Khalil Mack, I really think this season comes down to Jimmy Garoppolo's health and the offensive line, and how much better can the defense actually be. That'll determine, like Grant said, he, at first very beginning when we had him on, he said something about 6 wins, right? And then when we asked him for his prediction, he said, "Well, after seeing them, I could see them as a 8, 9, 10 win team, you know." So I'm right there with him. That's exactly when our first episode, I said we broke down the schedule, and I was every week it was like, oh, I'd love to win that game, but I can't say that we will, And then now I'm
it's like maybe the
maybe
Raiders,
we're better than even I thought,
Yeah, because it's not one of those things where it's like, you're excited about what's on paper. It's finally like you're excited about what's been on the field for the Raiders. And, it's just, I mean, I'm happy for you because I know you've endured a lot of pain as a Raider fan, just season after season, right? Not to take a jab at you while I pat you on the back, but
no, I mean, you're right, but don't be happy for me yet, because again, I don't want myself to go into the season too confident, because if I go in there too confident, like
you're not going to be too confident. They're just going to win the Super Bowl. I'm telling you right now, Mike. You're just going to
Garoppolo. We're at least going to the championship game. No, but 2017, right? We come off of that beautiful season in 2016 where Derek Carr almost gets them to like the 3rd seed, and then the Chiefs beat us out. But and then of course Derek Carr gets hurt, and it's like we have no chance, in that postseason. But coming out of that 2017, we ran it back with Jack Del Rio. The difference was, I want to say, that offseason we got rid of Bill Musgrave in favor of Todd Downing, and that was their undoing. And nothing like that has happened this year. I think, if anything, I'm more confident in the defense, mostly because of what we've been hearing, but this is year 2 for the returning defenders in the same system under Patrick Graham, who, I think he deserves credit for what's been going on this offseason. Again, I don't want to get too confident, and I think something I didn't really get to say, but, Grant Cohn said that the defensive line looks like it's like really good for this Raiders team. Was that cutting out?
My internet cut out. Am I good now?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. But Grant Cohn was saying, he that this Raiders defensive line looks like it's really good this year. I think that the new defensive line coach for the Raiders deserves some credit. So let me pull up his name. Give me 1 second here. I just, this training camp, it's like, and then that preseason game, I mean, in the first drive, you get 2 sacks. Mm-hmm. It just seems like they have a different level of energy. That's my whole point, is this whole team feels like they have a different level of energy to them, and they have something going on,
Well, one thing's for certain, I have seen improvement out of that Raider defensive line. Like, now I can name you, several pass rushers who looked formidable and looked great against the Niners. And I've seen clips today of them, of Raider players, I guess, taking advantage of the Rams offensive linemen. Granted, they're not a good offensive line. I'm still here, right? I didn't lose you again?
Yeah. Okay. No, you're good.
But, you've got Max Crosby. Well, you've had Max Crosby. You had Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones is probably, what Grant said. He said, damn, Chandler Jones still looks good, right? But that was against Colton McKivitz, so you take it with a grain of salt. But it's a good sign that he's getting good reps against a guy who's going to be a starting tackle in the league. Colton McKivitz isn't a backup anymore. I mean, he was last year, but still, you take it for what it's worth. And, Jordan Willis looked great. He looked great in that Raider, the Raider game. And then what's it called? Malcolm Kuntz. He also looked great.
Yeah.
So
there was somebody else too. Isaac Rochelle. This is a guy that they signed.
Didn't he get a sack too?
I think he got that second sack, I want to say. Or it was the one where like a penalty got thrown and he didn't technically get it, but that might have been Adam Butler. But anyways, I mean, Isaac Rochelle was consistently creating pressure. Him and Jordan Willis were consistent Like you said, Malcolm Kuntz, he looked really good. Yeah, I was impressed, and even their defensive tackles were like creating a lot of pressure. And that's something that I've like taken issue with in previous years, and I've felt
Mhm.
like that's what specifically Max Crosby needs on this team. Like I've been saying, the Raiders' biggest need is a pass rushing defensive tackle. Like if you put Aaron Donald on this defensive line, it would be unfucking stoppable. Or even a who's the guy in the Colts? Used to be on the Niners.
DeForest Buckner.
Give me DeForest
I was
Buckner on the
literally
Raiders
thinking of him
defensive
too.
line. Oh my goodness! Like that's the thing, and that's why say Nick Bosa has been not. That's not just why. Obviously, Bosa's different, but when you have a defensive tackle like say Eric Armstead, who has to get maybe a couple of guys on him, you have to get him 2 blockers on him. I'm so sorry. That takes away one guy from Bosa, right? Like that's what Crosby needs is a guy that can take away that second or third offensive lineman that's blocking him,
Mhm.
among other things.
I'm
Rob
gonna
Leonard,
go.
by the way. Rob Leonard is the name of the Raiders defensive line coach. He's got 11 years of experience, and last season he was the coach for the Ravens defensive line.
Mhm.
Sorry,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead.
go crazy theory mode right now. What if? All right, would you do this? We should have this like be a segment. Would you do this if the Raiders? All right, let's just say there was a deal in place. The Raiders send 3 first-round picks to the 49ers in exchange for Nick Bosa, and you put Bosa on the other side of Max Crosby. That is a problem for defenses. Who do you double team?
That's a problem for defenses, but we've already spent a first round pick in Tyree Wilson, and I think they're
Well,
hoping
fuck,
for
send him
Tyree
over
Wilson.
here.
Yeah.
Let's just say you send him over here in this trade, or do you just keep him as depth, right? You guys have
Right.
first round picks to trade away, right?
Theoretically, they could turn Tyree Wilson into a defensive tackle, kind of like a who's the guy the Niners picked in the first round a couple years ago? Defensive
Solomon
tackle.
Thomas,
No, the guy who they replaced Buckner with.
Kinlaw.
Yeah, Javon
Shit,
Kinlaw.
you can
Like
have him
I
too.
think, yeah, but I think they would like Tyree Wilson could kind of be seen as like similar to Kinlaw if he like put on a lot of weight and played D tackle, but he's an edge. I mean he is massive. He is huge. If Tyree Wilson becomes the player that the Raiders want him to be, this defensive line is going to be a problem for years with him and Crosby. I don't know how long they're going to keep Chandler Jones, but for this season, having those 3 on the edge is nice. I think Tyree Wilson will probably start off a little situationally and then kind of build up into a significant role. But yeah, again, the defensive tackles are the big question for me. So, and then speaking of last thing, apparently the Raiders defensive line, to bring it all back to the joint practices with the Rams, apparently the Raiders defensive line was also giving the Rams offensive line absolute fits. And again, that's kind of expected because I just don't see it with the Rams this year, even their starters. Again, we couldn't name anybody past Van Jefferson as their 4th player. So I couldn't even tell you who their kicker is. I don't know. So
yeah, I don't know. Is it still? Was it Matt Gay last year?
I think you're right. You're
But
right.
I
I
think I'm
kept
right
thinking
because I had him in
Zerline.
fantasy.
Probably. I kept thinking Zerline, or Zerline, however you say it, but I think he's
Zerline?
with like the Jets now or something. So
I think so.